Baptized. Next, Sally.
Iraq was close to becoming a nuclear power when the war broke out, and there's evidence of help from Germany and the United States.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw, reporting tonight from NBC News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. Iraq was a year to a year and a half away from developing material for a nuclear bomb when the Gulf War began in January. And Iraq also was testing missiles to deliver such a bomb. That chilling news tonight from David Kay, who led the UN inspection team in Baghdad. At the same time, NBC News has independently discovered that Germany and the United States had major roles in Iraq's nuclear effort. Tonight on the NBC News program Expose, Brian Ross will have an exclusive report on the U.S. role. Here is some of what he's learned.
For American intelligence officers, this photograph, obtained by NBC News Expose of some passengers on a boat 2 years ago, turns out to be an important clue to how Saddam Hussein set out to build a nuclear bomb. Among the passengers, this man and these two men, Iraqi weapons scientists on a nuclear intelligence mission. The Iraqis were photographed on this riverboat in Oregon, and their mission was to join a group of hundreds of American weapons scientists, all in Oregon at this hotel for a 5-day seminar on explosives. American officials later said the conference room the Iraqis were invited into was the place to be to learn how to build a nuclear bomb.
First question is, why were the Iraqis there?
Congressman John Dingell says given what was being talked about, specifics about bomb detonation, it was unthinkable to have the Iraqis at the U.S. government-sponsored seminar.
The result is that you have an enormous opportunity for significant advancement in terms of the skill of developing thermonuclear and nuclear weapons by a rogue nation, Iraq.
And among the documents discovered in Baghdad by UN inspectors in the last few weeks, work papers related to detonation principles, just the kind of thing being talked about at the Portland seminar.
Iraq was a friend at one point, and things change in the world.
Milton Finger of the Livermore Weapons Lab, one of the sponsors of the seminar, still defends the decision to allow the Iraqis in.
It was an open meeting, and I think in general, the conversations with them were very guarded.
What the Iraqis were at was something called the 9th International Symposium on Detonation. A 10th symposium is scheduled for 1993 in Boston, again to be sponsored by the U.S. government. Brian Ross, NBC News, Washington.
Germany's connection to Iraq's nuclear program has been documented before, of course, but tonight, NBC's Arthur Kent has an exclusive report on one German company with a sordid history and its worldwide reputation as a merchant of death.
Inside this mountain in eastern Germany, at a concentration camp called Dora, 90,000 men and women labored in these tunnels, building weapons of mass destruction for Hitler's Third Reich, the V-1 and V-2 missiles. Albert van Dyck was one of the lucky ones who survived. 30,000 other prisoners did not.
I had to look for the dead bodies, and I registered the dead bodies. I was unlucky that I could be a bookkeeper of the dead.
4 decades later, in Argentina, other Germans build another underground missile factory for another dictator, Saddam Hussein of Iraq. The day an Iraqi missile struck the U.S. barracks in Dhahran, killing 28 servicemen and women, Pentagon officials were furious, not just at Saddam, but at the German companies that helped him. The Pentagon provided Germany with the names of 110 companies it thought should be prosecuted for helping Iraq with its superweapons. The German authorities say Pentagon sources have dismissed nearly all the cases. They're investigating only 2 of the 110 companies. So U.S. officials have decided to take a different approach, hitting the German companies where it hurts most, in their pocketbooks. German industry's trade has been scrutinized by the Pentagon's export control staff, who want to ban certain German companies from U.S. business. As their test case, they've chosen a company called Degussa. NBC News has obtained documents from a variety of sources in several countries, even Iraq, showing Degusa's role in exporting superweapons technology. Among the findings, Degusa sold India beryllium, a specialty metal that the CIA says could be used to help India build not just atomic bombs, but a hydrogen bomb as well. German prosecutors believe that directors of Leibold, a Degusa subsidiary, helped smuggle blueprints of uranium furnaces to Pakistan. The furnaces were needed to build an atomic bomb. And throughout the late 1980s, Degusa and its subsidiary sold Iraq high-technology furnaces and other equipment now known to have been used in their missile and nuclear weapons programs. In a written statement, Degusa admits selling certain technologies that could have military applications, but states, "We very carefully observe all existing German rules and regulations." But according to Steve Bryan, former Deputy U.S. Undersecretary of Defense, German regulations just aren't good enough.
The performance has been stunningly damaging to world peace and security, and the German government has done absolutely zero, nada, nothing.
Dr. Joachim Janke of the German Economics Ministry defends his country's record.
Well, there is much more under prosecution now. The network of intelligence and licensing agency and customs has much improved.
The issue of Germany's historic responsibility will not die. During World War II, Degusa co-owned the company that produced Zyklon B gas, used to kill Jews at Auschwitz, and it had an SS contract to refine Jewish jewelry into gold and silver for the Third Reich. Traudi Blas understands German responsibility. She was a slave laborer at the Ravensbrück concentration camp. For her, there is no doubt of what companies like Degusa should or should not do.
Sie sollen sich mal erinnern, wie es damals war.
They should remember what happened before. Even though people say they are different managers now, they are the same in how they behaved.
So far, no Germans have gone to jail for that behavior. Arthur Kent, NBC News, Hanau, Germany.
And we'll have a complete report from Brian Ross on the U.S. role in Iraq's nuclear program tonight on Expose at 8:30 Eastern. That's right after Real Life with Jane Pauly. When Nightly News continues in a moment, the politics of the economy and what the latest unemployment numbers really mean.
Does your washing machine like to dance? When it gets unbalanced, does it shred its stuff instead of cleaning yours? What you need is a strong, silent type, the Frigidaire Horizon 2000. Unlike some washers, it adjusts to unbalanced loads and keeps on running. Frigidaire, clean clothes without the song and dance.
And now get up to $75 cash back on select new appliances from Frigidaire.
I don't want to marry him, Mom. Just date him.
My head.
He'll get a job.
Where's my Anison?
For splitting headaches, Anison works better than regular Bear or Bufferin. So take Anison for splitting headaches.
You're going to love his earring.
4 days only. All Craftsman tools, all Craftsman lawn and garden equipment, and every gallon of paint are on sale. Save 10 to 33%. But hurry, it all ends Saturday at Sears.
New unemployment figures out tonight show the jobless rate fell in September by 0.1 of a point to 6.7%. That's small change, but with the presidential race gathering speed and recession still in the air, any economic news can also become political dynamite. Joining me now are John Cochran at the White House and Chief Financial Correspondent Mike Jensen. John, let's begin with you.
Tom, all week the White House had dreaded this economic news. They figured that the unemployment figures would be extremely grim, or at least somewhat grim, and the Democrats were expected to capitalize on that. But this morning, the president woke up to find out that the unemployment news wasn't so bad after all.
A delighted George Bush quickly called a news conference to trumpet the tiny increase in jobs.
Well, today's unemployment figures show the economy is moving in the right direction.
Although everyone agrees unemployment lines are still too long, the Democrats lost a round today. It may seem silly that 0.1 of a percentage point could undermine the Democrats' game plan, but that's politics. Unable to complain about the new unemployment figures, the Democrats instead accused Bush of being an insensitive brute because he intends to veto their jobless benefits bill.
Why is this administration turning its back on unemployed workers in this country?
But the president says the bill extending unemployment benefits an additional 20 weeks would bust the budget.
But whenever a proposal is made to help Americans, suddenly the president becomes concerned about the budget.
The White House supports a more modest bill providing fewer than half the benefits in the Democratic bill. But Bush's basic problem is that the economy is stagnant. Running for president, he made a big promise.
On jobs, my mission is 30 in 8. 30 million jobs in the next 8 years.
He can claim that, yes, his economic policies have created 30 million new jobs. They just haven't been here in this country.
Why is President Bush so willing and eager to help people in need overseas, but so reluctant and unwilling to help Americans in need?
That kind of criticism really irritates the president, who complained today that the news media have unfairly and grossly portrayed him as more interested in foreign policy than in bread and butter issues here at home. Tom?
Thank you, John. Beyond the political positioning and monthly statistics, of course, are real people. And NBC's Mike Jensen reports tonight, many of them still are hurting. Michael?
Tom, economic statistics are very clinical. And for economists and politicians and journalists, it's easy to lose sight of the suffering of the unemployed worker. Charles Chappelle got up before dawn so he could get on a bus to Washington to demonstrate for an extension of unemployment benefits. He was a Wall Street courier, but he was laid off in February. His benefits ran out this week.
What happens with the rent? What happens with the food? What happens with taking care of your kids? You got to go out there, you got to take away from one bill to pay another bill. And when you have no income coming in, you lose. You lose your home, you lose, it even causes you to lose your family. The benefits now. Stop the war on the unemployed and extend the benefits now.
5 hours later, there he was, trying to persuade President Bush not to veto the bill passed by Congress that would extend unemployment benefits. Although today's figures on unemployment were fairly good, the nation's economy is not. Technically, the recession has ended. The economy no longer is shrinking. But the recovery has hardly begun. There's almost no growth. There's very little hiring. A lot of it is part-time. And there's nothing to suggest things will get better soon. There's also an outside chance that the economy will start to shrink again. So it's grim for people like Charles Chappelle, who's a Vietnam veteran and wants President Bush to realize how serious this is.
You can bail out the savings and loans. Yeah. You can take the money and send to other countries, but you can't see the damn war that you have at home.
Right. Today's demonstrators want jobs, and they don't see the Bush administration doing anything to help them, Tom.
Thank you, Michael. And of course, a failing economy can also mean failing grades for America's other goals, such as education. Far from meeting the challenge to excel, many schools these days simply cannot even keep up. NBC's Fred Briggs has a report on one of them.
For 3 years, this flag has flown over the Pine Grove School in Raleigh, Massachusetts. It was part of an award for excellence in education, presented in Washington by President Reagan and his Education Secretary, William Bennett. Assistant Superintendent Susan King accepted the citation and accepted best wishes from the state's politicians.
Just remember, sun shining and feeling proud.
That flag of excellence was taken down today. It was the school's decision. It fell because of budget cuts. It didn't deserve to fly it.
We now have 10 empty classrooms that were filled just 2 years ago. That's because we've had to lay off over a quarter of our teaching staff. We have had to eliminate half of our art, half our music, half our physical education.
And the school nurse, the guidance counselor, half the buses, and the office secretary.
Good morning, Pine Grove School.
A parent filling in for the secretary. There are computers, but no computer courses because of teacher layoffs.
Our philosophy right now is one day at a time.
Raleigh and the school are victims of the times, and it's not just the recession. 30 years ago, at the height of the baby boom, 65% of Americans had children in the public schools. Now, it's down to 17%. Which is why voters here and elsewhere are saying no to school tax increases. It's about the only tax voters can veto. So, Pine Grove has gone from an average class size of 19 to 37. Gets pretty crowded here.
I go home feeling very frustrated sometimes, knowing that there are kids that I just didn't reach.
But what happens in the fall, besides leaves falling off the trees?
First grade teacher Elita Budd didn't get laid off because PTA groups, which usually raise money for outside activities through bake sales and such, paid Budd's salary for another year. But
We cannot bake for teachers forever. We have to have adequate funding for education now. This has got to be the bottom of the barrel, and it's going to start filling back up again. You've got to hope that.
And does this go back in the drawer?
For now, yeah. Yeah.
Fred Briggs, NBC News, Raleigh, Massachusetts.
Wall Street didn't show much confidence in the economy today. Stocks fell for a third straight day in active trading.
You know, there's a lot of things in life that make you feel good. Quaker Oats makes you feel good twice. First, you feel good when you're eating it, because it's pure oats and it's piping hot. Then it makes you feel good after breakfast. Steams you up, helps keep you going strong all morning. Can you think of one other breakfast that'll do all that? Quaker Oats. It's the right thing to do.
Domino's is what you're into. Domino's is where you're at. Nobody knows like Domino's.
Domino's Pizza doesn't make your pizza until you make your call and delivers in 30 minutes or less, guaranteed.
Nobody knows like Domino's.
Domino's Pepperoni Pizza Feast with extra pepperoni and cheese. Now a medium's just $8.99 or two for $12.99.
Nobody knows like Domino's. How you like pizza at home.
The luxurious new Chrysler LeBaron series, starting at under $14,000. The perfect balance between self-indulgence and common sense.
Now choose 770 powertrain or 336 bumper-to-bumper protection.
Robert Gates returned for more cross-examination by the Senate Intelligence Committee today, but his confirmation still is a toss-up. Here's NBC's Andrea Mitchell.
Gates received an unusual plug from the committee chairman. David Boren said he is still undecided about whether to support Gates, but praised him for cooperating with Congress over the years.
There was no single person in the intelligence community, without exception, that supported the efforts of this committee to get access to information and to have truthful reporting to this committee than the nominee who's before us this morning, Mr. Gates.
Gates still had to face tough questioning. He denied that the CIA misled President Reagan about Iranian terrorism to justify the arms for hostages deal. Sam Nunn confronted him with testimony from George Shultz, who said Reagan was misled by Bill Casey's CIA.
He was being given information that suggested that
Iran was no longer practicing terrorism. That was wrong.
Did you ever go tell the president, watch out? The boss means well, but he goes too far and he misstates things and he misrepresents things and he distorts the record. Did you ever tell him that?
No, sir, and I don't think either one of my predecessors did either.
Given that background and the record and so forth, do you believe that you are the best person to correct that perception at CIA?
The president certainly feels that I'm the best person to lead that change, and I believe, frankly, that I am too.
Other Democrats pressed Gates on his faulty memory about Iran-Contra.
I am responding with some passion because I'm a little annoyed at this notion of selective memory or selective amnesia.
He cooled down in his closing comments, promising to reform the agency if confirmed.
I hope that this committee and the full Senate will see fit to return me once again to the agency I love and to which I dedicated my life a long time ago.
But it isn't over. In a closed session, senators grilled him about classified matters. They'll vote 2 weeks from today. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News at the Capitol.
In a moment, President Bush puts the pressure on Haiti's military rulers.
This is when I love Grape Nut cereal. I've been out here all morning, and I'm still going. Does your cereal do this? Try breakfast with Grape Nuts for a week. I did, and I feel great. Grape Nuts is this natural energy source, and it's fat-free. It tastes so good, too. It's hearty. It's got what you need to help keep you going. If you want to feel this good every morning, try Grape Nuts for a week yourself.
Breakfast with Post Grape Nuts helps keep you going strong all morning long.
Now you can ask Angela Lansbury about Bufferin.
Angela, you've said on TV that Bufferin is effective pain relief. Is it really strong aspirin?
I'll say it is. Extra strength Bufferin's the strongest dose of aspirin you can buy. 1,000 milligrams.
Angela, how can Bufferin be so strong if it has buffers?
That's a good question. I've learned the buffers don't weaken it. They just help prevent aspirin's stomach upset. Bufferin's great pain relief.
Shouldn't you discover the strength of Bufferin?
We baked pearls made of denture material in this blueberry pie to prove how powerfully Efferdent, America's leading denture cleanser, removes this tough stain, even in between. Efferdent, stronger than stains.
4 days only. All Craftsman tools, all Craftsman lawn and garden equipment, and every gallon of paint are on sale. Save 10 to 33%. But hurry, it all ends Saturday at Sears.
Have you had your V8 today? Did you know that V8 juice has less than half the calories of that apple?
Wow!
V8 is a nutritious blend of 8 vegetable juices that taste terrific. Have you had your V8 today?
I thought all no-stick cooking sprays were just like Pam. Boy, was I wrong.
Only Pam is all natural with no preservatives. Only Pam.
And Pam adds virtually no fat or calories for healthier meals.
All natural Pam, a healthier way to cook.
International pressure is growing on Haiti's new military rulers. The Organization of American States sent a high-level delegation there today trying to restore the elected government. More on this tonight from NBC's John Dancy.
The delegation's mission to persuade the military junta now ruling Haiti that it is isolated, politically, diplomatically, and economically. Meanwhile, the deposed president of Haiti, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, took his appeal for help to the White House today. He got warm words from President Bush, but no promise of American military help in a multinational force if the diplomatic mission fails.
Well, I think we got to wait to see. I don't want to get out ahead of where this OAS mission is. And I would like to see it succeed without having to use force or having to put together such a force, say nothing of use it.
Aristide accepted that for the time being.
As Mr. President Bush said, we are talking about going back in a democratical way and to continue with the democratical process in Haiti. Later, we will talk about something else.
Before flying to Camp David, Bush signed an executive order freezing all Haitian assets, including bank deposits, in the U.S. Meanwhile, the State Department says the situation in Haiti still does not warrant evacuation of Americans there.
Briefly, the situation in Haiti remains tense. We have no confirmed reports of any injury or serious incident to any American. We've heard scattered firing in the city, and there have been scattered reports of violence elsewhere in the island.
So it seems obvious the U.S. will not use force to remove the military dictatorship unless Americans are endangered. And right now, that's not happening. John Dancy, NBC News, the State Department.
And diplomatic sources have told NBC's John Cochran that President Bush will be traveling again. He expects to attend a Middle East peace conference, perhaps by the end of this month, and probably in Europe.
You're not going to believe what happened.
You're right. I'm not.
You don't believe your own brother? Come on. I'm really sorry I'm late.
Late? We're having coffee.
Taste was choice. Just in time.
Well, no, I think you know everyone except...
We've already met.
We share the same taste in coffee.
Savor the sophisticated taste of Taster's Choice.
Are you always this late?
I won't be tomorrow.
What's happening tomorrow?
I'm inviting you to dinner.
What makes you think I'll accept?
You can't resist my coffee.
It's 6 o'clock. You're coming home for supper tonight. You work all day. You work up an appetite.
Hey, Mom, what's for dinner?
I wonder what minute is cooking up a dinner tonight.
How about stir-fried chicken and broccoli in a tangy oriental sauce with Minute Rice? Because Minute Rice makes all your recipes taste great. Now that's something to come home to.
Just look for a minute. It's cooking up a dinner tonight.
We all live with stress. Some people find it harder to deal with than others. And sometimes not only can stress lead to a headache, but it can, on occasion, also lead to stomach upset. That's when your choice of a pain reliever should be Tylenol. Doctors know Tylenol provides fast, effective pain relief, yet is easy on your stomach. Talk to your doctor. We can't avoid stress, but we can take Tylenol to relieve stress headaches. Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
4 days only. All Craftsman tools, all Craftsman lawn and garden equipment, and every gallon of paint are on sale. Save 10 to 33%. But hurry, it all ends Saturday at Sears.
Our daily difference now, Friday follow-up, a powerful symbol of the American West, the wild horse. But protected herds are growing too large, and horses are starving, and people still are fighting over a solution. More from NBC's Roger O'Neill.
The only thing that seems to help the wild horse is bad news.
The little black one with the white feet, silly.
This summer, after NBC News reported young foals were starving to death in the Nevada desert, horse lovers around the country rushed to a Reno adoption center to save them. Gretchen Umstead and her 12-year-old daughter Dana drove 150 miles to adopt a foal and left with 2.
There are so many horses out on the range. They need to be thinned, and they need to have it done in a positive way.
For the last 10 years, the question of how to do that has been debated without resolution. Even today in Denver, the Federal Bureau of Land Management's Wild Horse and Burro Advisory Board was arguing whether excess animals should be sold to the slaughterhouse or euthanized.
Nobody wants to see the wild horses that belong to all of us end up on a table in France or in a dog food can.
That recommendation resulted in euthanasia of the previous committee.
This board decided not to decide that question. The committee did support an active birth control program, but many think that won't be enough.
There has never been a case anywhere where a wild population has been effectively controlled with birth control methods of any sort.
And adoptions won't keep the herds under control either. 11,000 animals were rounded up this year, but only 7,000 were taken. Below the surface of the wild horse dispute, whose range is it?
In Nevada, there are 600,000 cattle and sheep and 30,000 horses. So how can you say there are too many horses?
Barkham says until the federal government admits the cow is as big a problem as the horse, this range war will never end. And as long as the wild horse remains the symbol of the Wild West, the public and Congress will not allow killing. Roger O'Neill, NBC News, Denver.
That's Nightly News for this Friday night. I'm Tom Brokaw. Gary Cutler will be here tomorrow night. I'll see you again on Monday.
Ovarian cancer, silent but deadly. Should healthy women have their reproductive organs removed as a precaution? No woman should miss Jane Pauley's real-life report. Then, Saddam Hussein's agents found inside the United States getting info on how to build a nuclear bomb. The shocking photos uncovered an expose following Real Life, NBC Tonight.
He was a legend on the field. He was a bigger legend off the field.
That's why I'm a real American hero.
With Pete Rose and Ty Cobb, the true story of Babe Ruth on NBC Sunday.